video, I wanted to share some art journal pages that I created that are a little bit different to what I usually do, but were a lot of fun, and it's a lot of collage. So I'm going through a little stash of items that I collected on various trips to Mexico, and a die set that my friend Kerry had that she got from scrapbook.com. It's actually a little exclusive that they had of dies and stamps. So I'm using those, and that blue thing, that is my deep sea die cutter with spellbinders. So I'm going to use that to cut out some little designs. I've got a little card that I got in Mexico from a Loteria game, which is a children's game, sort of like bingo, and they've got gorgeous little illustrations, and I'm using one of the cards there. I'm going to cut a little palette out on that shape, and I'm just looking for something else, just something that inspires, that I'm going to use to cut out the little paintbrush and paint splatter that I've got there. And what I'm flipping through is a whole bunch of pages from a altered book that I decided not to go on with because it was too small. I was preparing for a trip to Mexico to Frida Kahlo's house to teach in Mexico City for some lovely people. And I keep everything because, hello, art hoarder. So I'm using that blue, that paint, that color is the same as Frida's house, the blue house, La Casa Azul. And once you've got the die cutter out, you really just want to cut up all the paper because it's so much fun. So I'm looking for what else I can do. And I had this other altered collage piece. I stuck Frida's head over someone's body and maybe Diego's body, I'm not sure. I've added a bit of illustration or a stamp around it as well, and I thought, oh, what happens if I use my mermaid scale tile dies? So I get some mermaid scales because Frida loved mermaids as well. Now I am creating with my friend on the opposite side of my art desk. So while this is all happening, I'm talking, and I'm going to blame that for the amount of paint, the ridiculous amount of paint that I put down on that poor Gelli Plate. She can only take so much. So while I've got all of that paint on the brayer, I've just decided to just roll it straight into a journal that I have created out of a book about Frida Kahlo. And I've painted gesso and matte medium and paint over the pages, over the text, and just left her paintings and various images showing through. So if you do what I've done and just use too much paint, just roll it on another page and you've got another little bit of a background. So I'm using of course, the Jane Davenport Gelli Arts plate. So it's a little bit thinner than the usual gel plates that you find around. And this is fantastic because I can leave them in my journals because they're thinner, and I can actually leave 3. Sometimes I've had 4 in there drying, and I can just keep working on and on and on. But you know, I'm a Gelli Plate greedy guts. So I'm also using a little craft sheet, collecting up a fair amount of paint on my hands as well. Just to try and stop a little bit of cross transference. Again, that poor Gelli Plate, she's a bit juicy, but it will be fine. It'll work. And this is the result because I've got it on textured paper that's in the journal already. So I get this very distressed, higgledy-piggledy, aged looking, well, to me, like a wall. And I love that picture of Frida on the left that's in the book. So I've painted some acrylic over it, like Ancient Pages, which is one of my matte paint colors. And it's a very, very matte acrylic paint, which is important for me. Now I've got my little mermaid scale Frida, and I just decided that's where she needed to be. I'm using one of the limited edition Mermaid Markers. This is from the Celestial Skies set, and it's a color called Falling Star. These can be very hard to find. I have them at janedavenport.com at the time of filming anyway. It's a metallic, but it goes on top of just about everything, and it's quite a deep gold. It's just a very nice color. I have other golds in my collections that are sparklier, like the Golden Age Ultimate Pen. This is different to that, and I just love a brush tip because I can get that variety of line as I'm sketching. I'm loosely copying what is over on the left-hand side of the page, just with the shawl. Frida often was photographed wearing beautiful shawls. And I'm doing all of this while I'm chit-chatting away, and I find this is a great time to create because I'm not concentrating that much and not getting caught up in what I'm doing. I'm just having fun. I decided that I would pop down that little die cut paintbrush in Cast Azul Blue. Purely because I thought that beautiful blue looks so cool against the red. And I have the paint palette with the heart from it, from the Loteria set. It's a little bit hard to tell what it is, granted, but I know what it is, and to me, the heart on the palette is very meaningful and very Frida-esque. In a lot of her artwork, she had the heart not in the romantic little love heart symbol, but an actual pumping, bleeding heart. I'm using one of the other colors from the Celestial Sky Mermaid Marker set. The LTQ, my license to quill pen, might have been a better choice, but this does have a metallic edge to it. So I don't regret a thing. The color is called Black Hole, and like I said, it's part of the Celestial Sky set. And I'm just going over those lines again just to make them a little bit more easier to see for myself. I've just loosely copied the hand and made it sort of clutch this giant paintbrush. And now I'm using the LTQ, which is that gold feather-shaped pen. This ink, seriously. I'm just reinstating some of the stronger points of the face with that beautiful dense black ink. Because it's got that little brush tip, that very fine brush tip, I can get nice little flicks at the end of the eyes. Give a little bit of an artistic interpretation, and also adding just some of that density onto the other side of the page. I want to try and get these two sides of the page to somehow talk to each other, to have a relationship. So maybe it could be about youth and maturity, because we've got two different ages of Frida here. And who knows, this is what's so lovely about art, about collage, about working in an altered book, about creating, is so very often, well for me anyway, I just set off to create space within my own mind, within my own self, and because it just feels so nice to treat myself to my creativity. And I like how the mermaid scale shape, that die cut, it looks like a great big fancy collar. So she looks quite regal, my Frida over on the other side. I'm using my Storytime white paint pen. This is in a color called Snow Queen. It's so opaque, this ink. Oh, love. And so I started adding the eyes on the other side for that piece. I thought, wonder what it would look like with one of my original washi tapes with the eyes set. Oh, I love this. And it's at this point that my lovely friend Kerry had to leave, and I came back to my studio and just kept working on this because I kind of was starting to like it. Very often when I'm creating something with other people, it's just so stream of consciousness and I just don't know where I'm going with it. It's something that's happening on the page. But very often it has the bones of something that I quite like or that I'm learning from. So I'm just trying to get this collage piece. Like I said, this isn't something that I do very often, work with photographs or pictures of people, but I did find this a lot of fun, and I just wanted to share it with you because it might be something that you're interested in trying for yourself. Again, I've got that falling star mermaid marker out, and I just thought she'd needed a little bit of a gold halo, because she's got the queenly halo on the other side, and I think she needed a little something. And sometimes when I'm creating, I'm going to be absolutely brutally honest, I just like using the art supply that it is. And a lot of the art is because I'm having so much fun with the colour and the way it feels, moving my hand across the paper and making marks. That really is the goal. And then when I look at it now, I mean, the sun behind her just looks so good, and it also fits in, well, to me anyway, and it fits in with her love of her culture, of Aztec, and of her look back at artifacts. And I don't know, I feel like I'm honouring, a sun worshipping people as well. Adding a little bit of pencil just to reinstate where I've painted over in the background. I got a little bit of glitzy marker to add a bit of razzmatazz to the lips, and I think she can have a little bit as well. And next, this is one of the pens that I mentioned that has a bit of glitter in it. This is the Golden Age Ultimate Pen. It's a waterproof ink, and it has like a light sepia, light gold ink, and then setting in that ink is gold twinkles. It's really very lovely. So beautiful for jewelry, but more subtle and a different color than the falling star. Always with the art supplies that I'm creating, I'm trying to create different colors across the board so that you've got that variation, because I think the variation it's just beautiful. Now I've got my paint palette with the heart on it, and I've decided to place that over her heart and just employ a shish kebab stick to get it to stick down with the glue. I've got those two separate figures. I wanted to join them, so I used what I call a circle device. Just putting white paint pen. Oh, it's so beautiful, that paint pen. It's just loose circles and then adding text inside that bubble. Sometimes I add colour in the circle device, sometimes I don't, but I use it. To me, it's like a thought bubble or a dream. It's just, I like to put text in a container. So it's just something that to me makes sense, and that is why I did it. The quote is not from Frida, and I've also changed it a little. The original quote says, "The man who makes no mistakes does not make anything." We can change it to "the person." But what a wonderful sentiment, Edward John Phelps. I love it. It was fun doing this, and it was all started with the fun that I was having with my friend playing around with the die cuts from Spellbinders and my Gelli Arts plate. And when you start off on a little art journey, so often I have no idea where I'm going. I just know that I'm going to have fun all the way there. The link to my art supplies and workshops and books is in the description box below.